What did you think about the approach to this? What did you think about this particular prompt and question and stimulus?
Decently easy.
Say it again?
Decently easy.
Decently easy? Okay. What about the content? Like, did you guys feel okay with the content? All right, what about interpreting what was there in the particular map? You feel like that was fairly easy? I see like one person saying, okay, all right, good. So let's talk about this and try to see what the answers to these questions were and see how well you did. All right. So this, go back to the stimulus. It says British settlement of the 13 colonies between 1700 and 1775. And you've got your key there. What was the pattern?
Coastal.
Say it again.
Everything was coastal.
Okay. All right. When?
1700.
Okay, up to 1700. I guess we could say that. How about up to 1750?
Started going out more.
Okay. All right. Somebody else. What about up to 1775? What do we make note? What do we know?
Just branched out even more.
Okay, we say branched out. Yeah, good. So we expanded west, right? Good. All right, fantastic. So now let's go to question number 1. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you out there. We're family. I always tell my students we're family, right? We're family. We're family. So let's don't be embarrassed. All right. You got to put yourself out on a limb. I'm going to do this. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. When I go, I want you to tell me your answer. You ready? 1, 2, 3. I didn't say choo yet.
Wait, I want
Wait, did I say choo? 1, 2, 3.
C.
Ooh. Say it loud. 1, 2, 3.
D.
C and D, and somebody said I wrote A. You wrote what?
I put A. I circled it.
You put A?
Okay.
Where am I? All right, good. So, how many of you put A? How many of you put B? Back up. A,
Right here. With
B,
my pen.
with your pen. B, C,
Oh, drop
D. Now look, it's really split between C and D. A is in there, but let's look at it. The pattern of colonial settlement up to 1700 resulted most directly from which of the following factors? Now, somebody put A. The large size of British colonial populations relative to American Indian populations. What do you think?
Might be wrong.
So you're saying that it is the relative size of the populations to one another that caused them to move west. No, that's not the right answer. Okay, and we'll come back and see why in a minute. All right, B, British recognition of Native American sovereignty. That doesn't even happen, okay, at this point at least. So, automatically, right off the bat, we've seen 2 that are incorrect. Now let's go to C. I'm sorry, let's go to D. Let's go to D first. British government attempts to impose greater control over the colonies in the late 1600s. Did that even happen? I like what you said. It was 1700s because we do see that right before the American Revolution, after the French and Indian War. But what about the period of the Navigation Acts? What about the period of the Dominion of New England when Britain drew a big line around them and put Sir Edmund Andros in charge of that whole region because they were smuggling in contradiction to the Navigation Act? So that did actually happen, but now you're looking at the cause and effect for a bit. So watch this. British government attempts to impose greater control over the colonies. Did that make them say, "Oh, you're trying to control us? We're going to move west then"? I mean, is that what happened? No. So now, stay with me. Now look at C. The orientation of the British colonies toward producing commodities for export to Europe. We think we got to go back and look at this up. The pattern of the colonial settlement up to what time period? 1700. Okay, and can I say this to your credit? Who used the pen to circle the question?
Yeah.
I kind of, to a degree, I kind of misled you there when I said that. This is up to 1700. So what you said about the large size of British colonial populations relative to American Indian populations, this is the coastal period. I should have said that differently. So I guess you could say that because of the size there, they might have constricted themselves to stay coastal.
That's what I.
That's where you
I
go.
read the question.
Yeah.
Because like up to 1700, that's where kind of where they stayed.
That's what. Good. So I see where you could have done that. But now look at this. If we're remaining toward the coast, D is going to be the correct answer. Because of the concept of up to 1700, or really up into the early 1700s, they're operating under what economic system? Starts with the M. Mercantilism. Everything is relegated towards trade back home or trade to Europe. So that's why they remain coastal. Now, Now, this is a perfect opportunity for us to stop for a second and say this. When you look at a multiple choice, invariably, a lot of the time, most of the time, if not most of the time, you're going to have A, you're going to have B, you're going to have C, and you're going to have D. One of them is going to be what?
Dead wrong.
Well, three are going to be wrong. One of them is going to be
Dead.
right? So let's just say this is the right answer, okay? One of them, in fact, is going to be, at least one would be, we're going to call it a distractor. That says distractor, believe it or not. And then one or two are going to be possibly very wrong for some reason. Okay, just didn't happen, or it's out of time period, something of that nature. If you can find out the ones that I call them throwaways, if you can find two that are throwaways, then you've narrowed it down to 50%. Then you've got to look at the two that you say, oh, these look really closely similar to one another, and then you've got to try to determine between that. Okay, so now let's look. I want to look at 5 and 6 real quick, and then I want to see if you can find the distractor in these two questions. Okay, so if you think you find it, right, maybe D-I-S-T beside it. Okay, here we go. Number 5, the change in settlement patterns. Oh, I want you to give your answer. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. Here we go. The change in settlement patterns from 1700 to 1775 had which of the following effects? 1, 2, 3.
A.
B.
B.
B. I heard A, B, and D. Who put A? Own that answer. I say elbows to ears. What I say? Who put B? Y'all proud of y'all's answer. How about D? Put D. How about C? All right. So let's take a look at this. The change in population in the pattern from 1700 to 1775 showed what? What was the change? I'm a map. Expanded to the west. They moved west, right? Okay, so there's an expansion to the west. So, did this cause a decrease in the coastal population?
No, not really. More people were coming in to settle that. It wasn't that the coast got less people, it was that more people came in.
And not only that, not only people coming in from abroad, but we call in my class, they were making babies, right? The population was growing on its own. So you see a population growth for two reasons: procreation and living longer, a decreased mortality rate because disease stops being so prevalent, their immune systems build up, and you have more people coming in. So it's not so much that everybody is again saying, you know what, let's just all move away from the coast. It didn't necessarily happen. So I will say this: A would be what? Could possibly be the distractor, right? Because you look at that and you say, well, the population looked here. Now there's a population over here, so maybe they're moving. Could be a distractor. Could call it a throwaway too. B, an increase in conflicts between British settlers and American Indians is the correct answer. It is the correct answer. How about C? A decrease in the economic importance of slavery and other forms of coerced labor. I mean, we fight a civil war to come, right, over the issue of slavery. So, yeah, that's a throwaway. How about D? An increase in trade with French Canada. That just doesn't really fit. I would call that a throwaway too. All right, let's go to the last question. The change in settlement patterns from 1700 to 1775 best explains the 1, 2, 3.
C.
And we're all over the all over the place. Who put A? Who put B? Who put C? Who put D? Ooh, A, C, and D. All right. A, development of economic differences between the northern and southern colonies. What do you think? That's wrong. Why?
It's not really split north and south yet.
It's not. They're not really talking about the northern and southern differences necessarily. We could say we know that there are economic differences between the northern and southern colonies, but the change in that pattern may not really speak too much to that particular issue. Okay. All right. So B, colonists' difficulties in effectively resisting the British military during the American Revolution, which would mean if they move inward and you have a lot of population here, this is going to cause them not to be able to stand up against the British. It actually will be somewhat the opposite, because the knowledge of the terrain in terms of a more inland push will help them to have some success more so against the British in that particular regard. All right. So stay with me. C, significant proportion of colonists who remained loyal to Great Britain during the American Revolution.
Connected.
Oh, no.
Throw it out. It's wrong. The answer is D. Now, growth of social tensions between backcountry settlers and coastal elites. Now, you guys familiar with the Paxton Boys, the regulator movement, any of those things? So, okay, so you had some issues where you had Eastern issues with the coastal elites and the backcountry folk. You can even go backwards a little bit in history to see that that's been a recurring theme, or something that has been something that was a continuity over time. It's one of your historical thinking skills. Something that has continued to happen. Those who are the elite coastal, more wealthy people, and then the backcountry folks. What about 1676, Bacon's Rebellion? You guys know about that?
Yes.
Okay, so the frustration between the backcountry farmers and the Jamestown, Virginia elite. So that's a kind of backcountry versus elite mentality, even by 1676, as early as 1676. So the answer there would have been D. All right. Just make note when you're doing these, and I'm going to move on from multiple choice, that when you're approaching this, make sure you understand what the question is asking you. And again, on that one that we looked at a minute ago, I mean, it very well could have kind of been a distractor to make you feel that particular way, but let me say this. This exam is hard. And it is meant to be hard. It is meant to kick your butt. Why would they do that? Huh? Why would they do that? Why would they make a test that's this hard?
To question your.
He said for college credit, bro. I mean, yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, college professors, the college board, test creators, they come together and look at this and they say, you know what, if we're going to give a kid college credit, save him thousands of dollars, they're going to earn it. They're going to have to earn it. So some of this is going to be really, really, really difficult. You can't beat yourself up over it if you don't know some of it, or if you're not successful. You can't worry about that. You got to do the best that you can. All right. Now, I want you to close your packets for a moment. Can you do me a favor? Give everybody one. Just count out enough right here and just pass it down the rows.
You can do it,
You're going to get 2 sheets of paper. You have a whole bunch.
No.
I don't have to. I have 8. Now, when you get these, I want you, listen to me, when you get these 2, don't read them, don't read them. I want you to stack them together, put them in the little cubby underneath your desk for just a moment. Did you? Are you in? Are you?
No.
You want to do this? You want to do it? Okay.
Sir,
Yes.
Daniel doesn't have a vote.
Yeah, no.
I just put it on the floor, then it's fine underneath.
That's so sad.
You're the only one that cares.
I know, right? Why am I the only one at home? Because I'm the only one. That's a lie. That's why I said that's a lie. I'm on like, go get a 1. Let's go.
Daniel, shut up. It's okay.
Instead of giving a 1.
I'll get a 0.
Hey, we're 1 short.
The next session, who's one? Which one do you need? Do you need the handwritten stuff or the typed stuff? Got you. All right, put the stuff underneath. Put it all underneath. All right, you ready? Go.
But what? Do what?
I'm just kidding. All right, you ready? Listen.
I don't
Here's what we're
understand.
gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. Find a place in your packet, because you guys don't have paper. You got paper?
No.
I got paper.
Okay. How many you guys have? Did you guys bring notebooks?
Yes.
All right.
I brought my backpack.
We were given a run.
Listen, guys, don't run out of time. I need you to get a sheet of paper somehow. If you've got a notebook, get it out. If you don't have any paper, raise your hand, please. This young lady right here says she'll give you a piece of paper, 10 cents. She can pay her after. Pay her later.
Yeah, you take that.
That's right. You have 20 seconds to have your paper and have a pen in hand and be ready to write.
What are we writing?
I'm gonna take just a second. Take just a second. You gonna write a short answer.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Probably,
Bet.
not.
Bet. Bet that. Bet that.
Brandon, don't even get me started with the moon moving on.
Ready?
What are we doing?
Hey, I just wanna know if you're ready, then I'm gonna give you further.
All right, I'm fine.
Y'all ready?
I just came here for
I fed you already.
Why not?
I'm asking today. You got your headband though, she didn't let you know, did she? You should have told me. Alright, here's what I need for you to do now. I had you put the stuff underneath the desk because I didn't want anybody reading ahead to try to find some answers. Here's what I need from you now, and I want, at this point, when it's test time, you're taking the test, your day of the exam, your college credit rides on what you're about to do. So it means you can't talk or your test is taken from you. I need you to, the only sheet I need you to reach under and grab is the one that is the non-handwritten portion. And I need you to flip it over to the side that has the smaller information. It's short, yeah, you're right there. Yep, it's got the white space at the bottom. Now sit it down and all eyes on me. I'm going to give you 10 minutes, because we're running short on time, I'm going to give you 10 minutes and you're going to write a response to the prompt that is in front of you. Now, when you do a short answer, and I need you to listen to me for a minute, okay? When you're doing a short answer and working through the short answer portion of the exam, I want to give you a few pointers. So if you could take your notebook paper and sit it on top of that for a moment so you're not kind of tempted to not be paying attention. This is important. Your short answer question can be one of the easiest portions of the test. I think it will be the easiest portion. You have 3, right? You have 2 you have to write from what time periods? 3 through 8, good. And then you have the choice on the last 2 for the third one. Now, when you write a short answer, here's what I encourage. And if you need to jot this down, because I'm not taking the notebook paper up, you might want to jot a few things down that I'm going to say. You're going to have to respond A, B, and C. Okay? When you are doing a short answer prompt, how much writing should you be doing?
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Let's quantify a little bit. I'm going to say, yeah, so you're kind of all over the board is what we think. Jonathan Chu, who is the chief reader for the AP exam, he's like the head guy. He does a debrief after the exam is over with and talks about the exam and how students did and what they could and couldn't do better. He said that the short answer question can be received in 1 sentence. Stay with me. But the sentence has to be well developed. Okay? So there's 2 things you need to do in a short answer that I tell mine that they need to do. Number one, answer the question. Okay? So you're going to answer it. Whatever it is, just answer the question. Period. Now I tell mine, you know, if you can use multiple sentences, please do. If you want to use 1 sentence, 1 well-developed sentence, and that's fine. But you got to answer it. And then secondly, I want them to extend the response with some form of analysis that includes a piece of SFI. Do you guys use that terminology, SFI?
No.
It's, yes sir, specific factual information. What is that? It's stuff. It's specific stuff. All right? Now, but you'd be surprised what they would accept in terms of being specific. So, you've got to answer the question and then also extend it with a piece of SFI that you have analyzed to reinforce the answer that you've given. Okay, we're going to talk about how to do this in a minute in an ABC model. Not this, but an acronym that I use to how to write. But the first thing I want you to do is write on this. So, I would say no more than 2 to 3 sentences. I tell mine, I don't want them writing in paragraph form. Now, if your teacher allows you to do it and you can do it well, then that's fine. But what tends to happen when people write in paragraph form is they just start rattling off stuff. It's like fake it till you make it, right? At some point, I'm going to say something that's good. And then by the time you know it, they wasted 15 minutes and they haven't even gone on to the second short answer. I tell mine, I want you to separate it. A, B, and C. If not A, B, and C, bullet, bullet, bullet. At least. But now, if you do A, B, and C, or if you, let's say that you do bullet, 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 and then you actually give the answer for C here, the answer for A here, and the answer for B here, will you get credit? Yes, you will. Yes, you will. They are trained to find your answer. Okay? So if you do paragraph, or if you do 2 to 3 sentences bulleted, or if you put A, B, or C, they are trained to find your answer. But here's what I say. For those of y'all listening, don't tell anybody I said this. I don't trust them. I don't trust them. So I tell mine. I just don't. All those people that sit around and grade, I don't trust the system. So I tell mine. I really don't want you to put A, B, and C, because if you put B for A, and then A for B, they're still supposed to give you credit, but I just don't want that to happen. So if you only put bullet, 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 then guess what? They can't really claim that you've done either. Do you see what I'm saying? You guys see what yeah, you see what I'm saying? All right, so if you get them mixed up here, they can't say, oh, well, this is supposed to be B. Well, you didn't label it as such. Now, that may be a little over dramatic, and maybe some people may call me that, but I just tell mine, I just want you to bullet it, 2 to 3 sentences, get in and get out. Any questions? We're gonna make a shot. We're gonna take a shot at this. If you mess it up, that's fine. If you don't do well, that's no problem. You've got 10 minutes. When I say go, I want you to take a look at the prompt, read the prompt, and I want you to answer parts A, B, and C. Ready? May begin.